Greetings, good people. Welcome to another edition of Leaders and Learners, where we all know that the best leaders are lifetime learners. And today we have a visionary, that's what I'd call him, who saw a need to build a movement. He's the founder of Every.Black, a powerful digital directory connecting Black entrepreneurs, authors, creatives all across the globe. From tech to community impact, he's making sure that you are seen, that you are supported, and that you are searchable. For me, that's visibility, and I absolutely love it. So let's welcome to Leaders and Learners the master connector himself, Dr. Jimmy Davis. Hi, how are
Hi,
you?
I'm doing very well. And first of all, I just want to thank you for allowing me to be on your show. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you taking the time, and I know the people will love it because I do my research, and you are definitely an interesting person. You have some very cool things going on. And now that I feel like we're in a moment of anti intellectualism. So you are exactly what the people need. So, again, I want to thank you. I want to ask you, jump right into it, and I want you to tell me your story. Tell me how this movement of the dot got started. What sparked that idea?
Okay. Well, I go back a ways. Coming out of college, had no idea what I wanted to do. Got a job with Social Security Administration, but I realized very early on that I did not like working for someone else. And so I was trying different businesses. I sold hot dogs at the county fair. I sold T-shirts. I sold Amway. Got into real estate. Nothing was really clicking. Had a janitorial service, but then a friend introduced me to a Macintosh computer. Now, this was a while ago, like say it was back in '87. And so at the beginning of 1988, I started McMaster's Computer Training Service, teaching people how to use software. By the time I had two problems. One, I didn't know how to use the computer myself yet, and I didn't afford to own one at the time. But it just happened at a great time because I had a passion for it, learned software quickly, and started teaching people all over the country really how to use software. It grew very quickly because during the 90s, no one knew how to use anything. But one of the things I realized early on was that I was not seeing people of color in my classes. And that always bothered me. And when we fast forward, I started specializing in database development. But around the year 2015, I decided to stop that and really focus on what did I want to do because I was always helping others. And that's when I was introduced to Dr. Joel Dudley Sr. of Dudley Beauty Products. And he always promoted entrepreneurship. And so it just kind of clicked that I needed to use my tech skills that I've developed for literally decades to help entrepreneurs with their technology. Um, because he would always say that we're out of slavery and we have our civil rights, but there's that economic inequality. And to fix that, we have to be entrepreneurs. And I don't care what kind of business you have today, you need technology, and especially AI right now. That's the big thing. It's huge. So that's kind of the overview of Every Dot Black. But I will tell you the dot black part of it because people ask me, well, how did you come up with Every Dot Black? Well, when like I said, in 2015, I was really trying to decide, well, what do I want to call it? So I had several websites. I had everyblackentrepreneur.com and everyblackprofessional.com and everyblackauthor.com. I had literally 12 websites, but the entrepreneur site was the one that was taking hold. And then I discovered the .black domain, and I just went with it, closed down all of them, and now we focus on entrepreneurship with every .black. And the .black domain really is created to emphasize quality, sophistication, like little black dress or black tie, judge's black robe. So we just went with it, and that's what we do, promoting entrepreneurship, helping entrepreneurs with their technology. You have to stop me when you want to, because once I get excited about this, just jump right in, because I get excited about it still, even to this day, about what we're doing with technology helping folks with their businesses.
As a business owner, when did you start seeing success? When did you decide, yes, I'm going to stay on this path? It's working. I'm making the impact.
Well, I think I've had several businesses, like I said, and I noticed that in each time, usually it takes time to develop a business. And I say for each one, the janitorial service I had, it took about that third year it kicked in. Same thing when I provided Macintosh computer training. It was that third year when I really became profitable. And I see the same thing with Every Dot Black. And actually, with Every Dot Black, once COVID happened, that was a blessing in disguise for us because, like everyone, we went virtual. And once we went virtual, then we started bringing in people from around the world and speakers from around the world. So location was no longer an issue. We could really tap into folks wherever they might be. And like I said, we started bringing in people from the Caribbean and from Africa. And the amazing thing was that despite the location, people of African descent still had this common bond. We just connected. And before you know it, the members were working with one another and partnering with one another on different things. Just making those connections. So, like I say, don't let me meander if I'm trying to stay on track here. Remember your question. Like I said, I get excited about it still.
I mean, I think what you just said is pretty important is that we just connect, right?
Yeah.
On a fundamental level. I think people underrate that. I think that's an underrated quality about us.
Hmm.
And when we ride that, we acknowledge it, we ride that. No, we're not all the same, we're not a monolith. But that ability to connect on a higher level, it produces a certain type of like momentum and energy and dynamic that it's prideful. It's I
Definitely, and just like I say, even though people were coming on from Africa or coming on from the Caribbean, when they start telling their stories about just being raised, I mean, it's like the accents were different and the countries were different, the dialects were different, but the same. I can't, it felt like family. It just
yeah.
did, and that's why even though some of the folks are in different parts of the world, we purposely went to St. Lucia last year because we had some of our members in St. Lucia were faithfully coming on each week, and we got to know them virtually, but we had never met them in person. And then what really amazed me was that when we were getting people on from Africa, because our meetings are at 7:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Hmm.
So if you're in Zimbabwe, which is where one of our members was, that's like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning for them. But they were
Mm.
still making that effort to join us, and so we actually started for a while. We had Every Dot Black Africa going as well as Every Dot Black USA. But the young lady that was helping us with that, she wasn't able to continue it for some family reasons. But
Hmm.
we still have international speakers all the time. So we purposely, on the first Monday of each month, we purposely have an international speaker. So,
I love that. And speaking close to my comms and PR heart, I want to ask you, you have speakers, you have authors, business owners, and creatives, right?
yeah, yeah.
All in your directory. What do you think Black professionals often overlook when it comes to visibility?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I guess let's lead in for the technology piece because I say, well, today, especially with AI, you've got to embrace it. And too often, again, going back to when I was providing the training, I just wasn't people of color in my class. Not completely, but not enough. And so I want to see more of that. So I think that we have to embrace it. We can't be afraid of it. And I see more so the younger generations. That's not so much an issue, but I say middle aged and older folk that are still running businesses. You've got to still you got to still jump in and and embrace the technology is what we try to do. Uh, not just social media. We have to have a digital presence, but we also, like I said, we have to utilize the LinkedIn. We have to utilize AI, ChatGPT, or Perplexity, and don't be afraid of it. Don't try to learn it all. There's too much out there. But just pick one and start there. Just jump
There's such a
in.
fear of AI, and I think that it's I think that it has been overhyped in regards to, how many jobs people, it's going to take, and people get afraid to use it because they think it's going to take their job. I don't understand that. Do you?
Well, I don't think it's overhyped.
You don't?
No, I don't. I don't. Like I said, being in this business in the tech field for literally 35, 36 years, it's the biggest thing I've seen. And I've heard it said that it'll be those businesses that are using AI and those businesses that are out of business. Literally, it saves time. It helps you create a better product, a better document in seconds that it might take you weeks to create. It gives you ideas. Here's an example that we did just a few days ago. Right now, a lot of people are losing their jobs because of things going on with our government. And we realized that a lot of these folks may be looking for what are they looking for? What do they need at this time? And so we asked AI, and I can't remember everything, but I know two things that came up was one is stability and a network that people can gravitate to, a network. And so we asked AI, what are the resources that Every.Black has that will cater to what these people losing their jobs are looking for? And it gave me, again, suggestions, our mastermind meetings and our training, developing professional skills. We also asked AI, well, what are the demographics of the people losing their jobs? What is the age? What is the geographical location, race, gender, everything? Trying to get an idea of who's the avatar. What's the avatar of the people losing their jobs right now or in danger? And so it gave us that information. And sadly, as you might expect, people of color are at a higher percentage of losing their jobs than not. Um, and then we asked it, well, if we were going to create social media posts, what kind of posts, what language should we use, what script should we use to attract the people that are losing their jobs, but we have the resources to help? And again, it gave me 3 posts that we started using for a campaign to put out on our social media to attract people that may be looking for some help or looking for a community. So that's I'm trying to give you an example of how how to use AI. Whereas, and all of that took maybe with an hour, if that, where it
I
was.
think we're, I'm sorry. I think when I said overhyped, I left out the part where it actually includes humans. So this elevated fear of irrelevancy that some
Mhm.
humans tend to have don't recognize that there's still a space for you. There's still a space for the human connection. There's still a space, even in PR. You can have AI help you do research, write articles, but without the human element, there's no connection. So no matter what happens with AI, there has to be a level of humanity and connection in order for it to be as impactful as it needs to be to elevate our, you know, elevate our society, which is what it's put there for.
Oh,
So when I say, overhyped, I'm talking about that overhyped in regards to the fear, not so much as the impact, but the fear of irrelevancy, where people start feeling like I'm not going to use it because it's threatening to me. No, it's not threatening to you. It's here to help you. It's here to expand your capabilities. It's here to elevate your mind and help you do things faster and more streamlined and in order, things of that nature. I just think the perception of it causes some level of like anxiety, more or less, than
mhm.
excitement. Like you and I that aren't afraid of technology are like, yes, this is great. And then other
Right.
people are like, I don't know. Like,
Well,
I don't,
I've
because,
yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I do agree with you. I do believe that the human element is necessary, especially again going back to our community because, like our society, AI is biased. It has biases built in because it's reflecting the information that's out there, and often we're not accurately represented. So, in that sense, it definitely needs to be that human element. Um, so I absolutely agree with that. And I know I was going to say something else. I just lost my train of thought.
Okay. But let me tell
It'll
you,
come
let me
back to
ask
me.
you this. The platform isn't just a directory. Okay. I
Mhm.
use that word, but it's not just a directory. It's a digital community. So my
Yeah.
question for you is, how do you keep folks engaged and invested beyond just the listing and the info that they provide?
Well, a couple of things that we do. One, like so, going back to the training, we do provide ongoing training on different applications, and sometimes people will ask me for an application. Sometimes I just put things out that I find could be useful for the entrepreneur. We also, again, we have weekly mastermind meetings, and the weekly meetings are a great support group where we have entrepreneurs from around the world come and speak and have presentations on different topics, whether it's branding or social media or AI or finance, health. We've had speakers on all types of topics that we try to find that are relevant to entrepreneurs, and then we promote them through our newsletter. We promote our members through our newsletter, which goes out each week to a little over 12,000 now, but also on our social media as well. And I have to mention too that between the networking, the helping to get our members more exposure through the website and the newsletter, and the mastermind meetings, these meetings have been going on for 90 years.
Hmm.
And obviously, I didn't start them, but they were started by a man by the name of S.B. Fuller out of Chicago, who was born in 1905 out of Louisiana, moved to Chicago, and started off with $25 selling soap. And he would buy soap, shave off the name, put his label on, and sell soap door to door. Fast forward, he created a business bringing in up to 18 million a year.
Hmm.
And along the way, he had these weekly meetings. Actually, they had them daily. They had these meetings all the time, training folks, whether they were in the beauty industry, which is what he ultimately was in, or any other business. But one of the people that he trained, one of the people, John Johnson of Jet and Ebony magazine. Remember George Johnson of Afro Sheen and Ultra Sheen is another one.
Hmm.
Uh, People don't know he also mentored Mary Kay of Mary Kay
Oh,
Cosmetics.
wow.
Sure did. And he mentored Joe Dudley of Dudley Beauty Products. Well, when Dudley, S.B. Fuller passed away, Dudley continued the meetings. And in 2015, I met Mr. Dudley, Joe Dudley, and I started attending the meetings. And so in 2018, we continued the meetings, and Mr. Dudley continued the meetings until he passed away last year. But we continued the meetings as well. But the big advantage that we have is that we're on Zoom and we're able to reach people around the world now and also have speakers from around the world. But the format is the same. We didn't change the basic format where we literally read about entrepreneurship each week. We have book discussions. We share any announcements. We actually read a scripture, and then we have guest speaker, and then we network. So that same basic format is the same, even though we're doing it virtually now versus in person. So I
Got it.
figure, hey, if it worked for 80 years before I came along, why change it, right?
Right. If it
So,
ain't
so
broke. Yeah.
exactly. So, and
So
that's what we do.
I love that. Okay. We know change is constant, but
Hmm.
with AI, digital tools, and social platforms constantly shifting and changing, how do you future proof every dot black while
Well,
staying rooted in your mission?
Well, I think like the title of your podcast, Leaders and Learners, you gotta continue to learn.
Keep learning.
You've got to. Well, I heard of readers or leaders. So you might have heard it that way. Um, so that's one of the things that S.B. Fuller, who was self-taught, by the way, only had 18 months of formal education, and Joe Dudley both were avid readers, and that's why we read in our meetings. Is that we literally read books, a few pages each meeting, have discussions about it, and then the next week we pick up until we continue that each week until we finish the book, and then we pick up another book we read as well. So you've got to continue to learn, especially in this climate of technology. It changes so fast. I mean, it literally daily. You've got to stay abreast of what's going on, and not that you got to become a geek, but you've got to. You have to, or you will be left behind. Um, so I think that's the key. You've got to continue to learn.
What do you think of this anti-intellectual movement our country seems to be going in, where, yes, trade school is an option, but growing up in a traditional Black family, going to college was the goal. Like, it wasn't the goal to go be a plumber. And we are in a moment where reading is not fundamental anymore. They act like it's optional. Um, I want to make America read again. That's a
Mhm.
goal. But what do you're highly educated, you work with entrepreneurs and professionals that are always trying to elevate. How do you feel about this moment that we are in our country right now?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I think, like I said, boy, that's a really good question. I think it doesn't matter what you do. I still believe you've got to educate yourself. You've got to learn. You've got to continue to read. You've got to reading and also networking with successful people that are where you want to be. You've got to find that community, especially as a small business. You can't do it alone. But boy, there's a lot of things going on with our country right now. I'm not sure what's going to be happening, but I don't think it won't be forever. This too shall pass, and I think we have to take on the responsibility in our own communities to do what we can individually. Sometimes you don't think that what little old I can do, but you'd be surprised the impact you could have on people. Sometimes you unknowingly, but you can't just give up on it. So um, have all the answers? No, I don't. But I do. I just think you have to, like, we all have to do what we can to educate our young folks, um, and whether you're a plumber or a brain surgeon, you still need that education. Growing up, there's two things that our parents. I have a sister, just the two of us. Our parents always instilled in us. One was get an education, because that's something no one can ever take away from you. And the other thing is that you can achieve anything you want to if you're willing to put in the work. If there's a will, that there's a way. And so, yeah, I have to fall back on what I was taught, but I don't have a crystal ball to to tell you the outcome here. But I just think we all have to continue to do what we can. Um,
Are you always this mild mannered?
yeah, I'm always like that. Yeah, and
Nothing sends you crashing out.
very rarely. And see, that's what makes me a good computer instructor, because trust me, I've seen the things that would make normal people lose their patience. Seriously. And people in my classes, they like it because even when they really mess up, then I don't know, it's just me. It's who I am.
Can appreciate that. Was there a moment or a story of someone that found incredible success in your program that you are always
Oh,
impacted or motivated by?
yeah, there's been several. Addie Banks is one. She's an historian,
Hmm.
and she's a retired educator, by the way. But um, when she first became a part of our group, she wanted to start a podcast and had no idea. Had a lot of trouble even learning how to edit a podcast. But we worked with her, now she does her own podcast. She makes movies. She's just like, and she's not a young lady. Like I said, she had retired school teacher when she started. Another person that comes to mind was out of Orangeburg, South Carolina. And this was when I was providing computer training. And she came to one of my classes, a Quark Express class. They don't even have that now. InDesign is the program that kind of replaced that. But she came to one of my classes, and I know she did really well. And I lived in Virginia at the time, and she was in South Carolina. So I told her, I said, sometimes I get people wanting help in South Carolina that it doesn't make sense for me to travel from Virginia to do that, ones and twos. And so she started tutoring people in South Carolina that wanted to learn about how to use some of the software available. And I helped her get some machines, computers. Well, it didn't really work out, but after a year, she had learned so much, she got a job at the local community college,
Mm.
maintaining the computer lab and helping students. And because she was able to do that, she was able to go back to school and get her degree. And
Mm.
then she went on and got her master's degree and moved to Maryland and became an English teacher there, did really well, and ultimately became responsible for the entire English program, public schools in the entire state of Maryland. And last time I heard, she was working on her doctorate. I haven't been in touch with her in a while, but that just stuck with me. And she always credited. Now I told her she did the work, but she'd always say I was the spark that kind of got her started. So there's others too. I don't know how much time you have, but those two that came to mind. I'll tell you one more. There's a couple young ladies that I was doing a demonstration for a company on technology, and they were just in the audience. I didn't even remember them. About a year later, I met them, and the company where I was demonstrating the technology went out of business. They lost their jobs, but they said because of what they had seen that day, they went out and started their own graphics company,
Oh, wow.
based on what I showed them. And so sometimes, like I say, you don't know the impact you have on people. So we can't give up on trying. And
Yeah.
I think we have to look at the long, the not the immediate gratification, but have to look at the long picture, the years, the decades of maybe one or two steps back, but in the long run, in the long run, 50 years from now, maybe our small effort could be magnified to make a huge difference in someone's lives. So
I
that's
love
the
it.
way I look at it. And
I'm just thrilled with the work that you're doing and the impact that you're making. Some important stuff. Let the people know how they can get in contact with you or find out more information. Like, who is your ideal uh, client, your ideal member? Tell them what that looks
sure.
like in that process.
Well, to reach out to us, you can go to every.black, www.every.black. We say .black is the new .com, no .net, no .com, right? And my email is jimmy@every.black. As far as just JIMMY@every.black. As far as our ideal client, typically it's the person that is thinking about starting a business or just starting a business, especially I say 50 and up, older, that maybe need that little help with their tech skills.
Hmm.
We find that those are our typical members. And at first, we were trying to get the young people in, but I realized the young people don't need the help as much. They may need life skills help, but they don't need the tech skills help as much. And so our typical members are, I'd say, 50 and up, um, but still want to do something, still have businesses going, or maybe they've been in business for quite a while and they just want to upgrade. Or another member comes to mind, Lafayette Jones, who was vice president for John Johnson of Jet and Ebony magazine, and he and his wife have a marketing company they've had for, oh gosh, over 40 years. Well, he just wanted to learn how to use AI, and I worked with him, and now he's like an AI guru. So those are the types of people that those that are interested in entrepreneurship, And you don't have to have your own business already. Maybe you just want to learn more about it. Talk to people that are doing it, just
Hmm.
to see, learn from the mistakes of others. Certainly, I've made my share type of thing, and and then get out there and maybe do it yourself. So
Yeah, I appreciate that. I want to thank you for being here, and hopefully we will continue to stay in touch. If you have something that you want us to share with our viewers, definitely send it. We'll share it.
okay,
And yeah, we want to stay in touch and watch you continue to grow and help people grow, help organizations grow that are touching lives. It's important to have people like you out there. So I definitely appreciate you being here, but please stay in touch and keep us posted on everything you have going on. And everything that you shared will be in the captions for this.
well, I appreciate it, and I certainly will. And you say what we're doing is important, but you're also this is important to get the message out about not just what Every Dot Black is doing, but all the amazing guests that you've had on your podcast. So thank you.
Appreciate you. You guys have a good one, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for showing up to the podcast where we all know that the best leaders are lifetime learners. When you get a sec, take a moment, leave a comment. What you think about today's episode, and share it with someone that you know could use the gems that were dropped today. Follow and subscribe. You don't want to miss who's coming up next. You never know who could show up here and what they could say. For your professional needs, marketing, PR, communications, and leadership, make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at Sand and Shores, or hit us up at sandandshores.com. Again, thanks so much for showing up. We appreciate you, and we'll see you soon.